You're live.
Welcome to House Education Tuesday, May 12th. The committee is continuing its exploration of various sort of channels for our teacher workforce. We've talked about sort of the non-traditional pathways. Last week, we had folks from the UVM program in, which was really great and illuminating. And today we are very fortunate to have folks from our state university and the Community College of Vermont to talk about their work. And starting things off is Sarah Korkulis, and I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Yes.
A student in the Vermont State University education program. And we're very glad you're joining us and look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Okay. My name is Sarah Korkulis. I am an undergraduate student who's graduating on Sunday with my degree in secondary education with special education from Vermont State University and a degree in social studies. I transferred to Northern Vermont University from CCV in the summer of 2023, right as the college was transitioning to Vermont State University. As part of that transition, my education major changed from inclusive adolescent education to secondary education with special education. At the time, I was not aware of that, and it wasn't until I realized that I was getting a lot of special education classes that my advisor explained the change to me. Initially, I had found it frustrating, knowing it altered my graduation schedule. However, those first special education classes were incredibly enlightening, and I was really encouraged that the dual endorsement would enable me to increase my odds of employment after graduation. I did not anticipate changing my career path, however. I planned on becoming a social studies high school teacher right up into the fall semester of this year. That's when I was enrolled into a 240-hour practicum for special education. That semester has changed my pathway, as I found myself working in a way I was very familiar with. Prior to my enrollment in college in 2022 at CCV, I was a homeschool high school teacher for 20 years. In that role, I worked with 20 students who had a wide range of abilities, life experiences, and academic strengths and weaknesses. I had designed my own curriculum for English and history, and scoured the internet for methods on how to teach literacy and math skills to high school students. As I worked in the special education practicum last semester, and with kids inside general education classrooms, I found that my strengths as a teacher were working one-on-one with students and in small groups, and those really shone in that environment. I love working with kids, building rapport and relationships, and challenging them to be their best selves and to actively do hard things. This semester, I did student teaching with a fantastic history teacher at a local high school. That particular high school has a large percentage of kids on IEPs, and the majority of my cooperating teachers' classes had a majority of students with IEPs or 504s. Having a background of education classes that had focused both on general education and on special education gave me a clearer understanding of the students in our classrooms. I am going to graduate on Sunday at the Johnson campus, and I feel very strongly that teacher education programs should include special education endorsements, and that giving young teachers the experience and opportunities to learn about special education will do wonders to remove the stigma of special education from students and tear down barriers that still remain between kids who receive special education services and students who don't. Many general education teachers, at least from what I've seen, lack an understanding of the basics of special ed, how universal design for learning benefits all students, and how to incorporate those principles into their lesson design. They don't necessarily understand appropriate scaffolding and what it looks like for students at different abilities. Additionally, it can be easy to look at students who are working with a paraprofessional as someone else's responsibility. There's often little communication between the para and the classroom teacher, and often very little between the para educators and other students in the classroom that aren't their responsibilities. Incorporating special education classes into teacher education programs, I believe, would help reduce this type of siloing of students. A special education position opened up at the high school where I did both my special education practicum and my student teaching, and I applied, interviewed for the position, and was hired. There's a high need, I was often told, for special educators. And when I did my interview, I found out that I was the only applicant. In the last week, I heard that another special educator at this school will be leaving this year, which means they will be looking for someone to fill that position. Next school year, they will be having at least one brand new special educator and perhaps another who has experience and perhaps doesn't. In looking forward, I can see a lot of area of growth in the school where I'll be working. I know that the special education department has been working to help Tier 1 and Tier 2 supports have more concrete lesson plans and strategies in order to keep students in the classroom as much as possible. I've helped with presentations and worked with some of these special educators who are endeavoring to turn the literacy tide, who refuse to accept the idea that some students just won't know how to read when they graduate. I believe strongly that the purpose of a high school education is to equip students with the tools they need to live a good life, to be able to independently read a lease agreement, to know how to manage their own paychecks, and to appreciate beauty in the world. Of course, I want students to find jobs and careers that they love, but I believe that the things that make our lives worth living are often the intangibles. It's the independence we feel when we're living on our own, buying our own food, paying our own bills. And it's the joy we feel when we see the beauty around us, when we funnel that joy into art of any kind, whether it's carving, poetry, painting, or photography. It's the ability to write and read and not feel inadequate when we do so. I want high school students of all abilities to feel those things, to know they are capable and strong and able to do hard things. That's all I had.
Great, thank you. I hope you're not suffering a blackout up there.
No,
There you go.
it's motionless.
That's what I figured. Could you just talk a little bit about kind of the path you picked as opposed to a different path?
Sure.
Doing CCV and then Vermont State University versus becoming a para and then doing sort of the other pathways that are available?
Sure. I graduated high school in 1995, and I did not go on to college. I ended up being asked by friends to homeschool their daughter. Well, not homeschool, to homeschool teach their daughter Algebra 1. It was very specific. They had gotten to a point where they didn't understand the math anymore, and I did. So I started doing that when I was 22. For 20 years, I took students on and I taught them Algebra 1, Algebra 2, geometry. I purchased curriculum from Prentice Hall for biology, geology, and I created my own curriculum for history and English using the mainstream books like written by Stephen Ambrose or, oh gosh, I can't even remember their names right now, but a lot of biographies and histories that are available at Barnes & Noble. Nothing fringe, I'll put it that way. And I created English curriculum using a lot of classic literature and some modern things. So I decided to go to college because I had no degrees in this summer of 2022. And I went to CCV and I spoke to Billy Dunham, who was working there at the time, and she was the advisor, and she advised me to take the assessment for prior learning, which I did the fall of 2022. And through that, I created a portfolio and spoke with experts in their field, and I was able to get 11 courses of history credit for that, and English credits, math credits, and I took the rest of my gen ed requirements as CCV that spring, and then transferred credits to, well, it was Northern Vermont at the time, but to Vermont State University. There was a lot of, the reasoning behind it was kind of personal in that it was a church it was a pretty high control church group I was a part of at the time that I gave more of my autonomy to than I wish I had.
Great.
Does
Thank
that
you.
answer your question?
Yes. And so did you do like a year with CCV and then 2 years, or was it more
3.
non-traditional?
It was 1 year with CCV and then 3 years with Vermont State University.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Great.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
did you apply elsewhere, or did you just apply for that one job that you have?
I just applied for the one job. The job came available in December, and I applied for it then and was told that, you know, I had come with recommendations from the teacher I was working with. And I was told they would love to have me. So when they posted it again in the spring, please reapply. So I did. Yeah.
And did they make you sign a blood oath once you accepted the job?
No, they didn't, but they were ecstatic, and so was I. It's only 10 minutes from my home, so you know Vermont. If you
Can
can
we
have a
ask what-
short commute.
Can we ask what high school you'll be teaching at?
Lamoille Union High School.
Great. Great.
Yep.
Other questions from the committee? Sarah, thank you very much.
You're
We're going to learn
welcome.
more about the CCV Vermont State University connection now. You're welcome to stick around and listen, but you certainly don't have to.
The only thing I did want to say was I was a recipient of the forgivable teacher's loan that the state of Vermont did a few years back. And that was enormously impactful for me. As you can imagine, I am 48. I've been working full time the entire time that I've been in college, and I would not have been able to afford school without that. So I don't know if any of you had anything to do with that, but I just wanted you to know I am deeply appreciative, and the money has gone to good use.
Yeah, thank you. That's actually could have led with that, because that's one of the things that we are talking about, since sadly the money has run out at this point.
I understand, but like I said, I wanted you to know this was one person who was greatly affected by that.
I did need to ask you one other question. That is, did you say that essentially the program you enrolled in at Vermont State University required that you take special education courses?
Yes.
Okay, that's part of the program.
Yes, they changed the program once it switched to Vermont State University. So what I'm graduating with is a degree that says secondary education with special education. So it's only a bachelor's. Most people have had to get to a master's in order to be special education. But this way, I'm graduating with a dual endorsement.
Great. And you said initially you sort of.
Oh yes. Initially, I was like, no, it's going to mean an extra year of schooling. But now I'm deeply grateful for it.
Great. Oh, so overall, if you had not had the credits that you came in with, would it have been 2 years CCV and then still 3 years at Vermont State University to get the dual endorsement?
I think it might have been. I think it might have been because I know they changed the endorsement for history. So I had to do social studies instead of a history degree, which meant that I had to take a psychology, no, a political science, economics, and geography. And I had already taken a psychology course. So I had to take extra courses in addition to the history requirements. I had not planned for those, but it worked out fine.
Great. Thanks again, Sarah.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. I appreciate it.
All right. I assume we have David and Leslie here with us. I don't know if you are going to testify separately or want to come up together. Either. Why don't you guys pull up any one of these other red chairs rolling around? You can grab this one that's right here at the end of the table. Oh.
Tables.
Right. Yeah. Introduce yourselves, and really look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Thank you. For the record, I'm Dr. Leslie Johnson. I am Associate Academic Dean of Education and Behavioral Science at the Community College of Vermont. And I'm joined by my colleague.
For the record, my name is David Kupferman, also doctor. I am the Dean of two schools at Vermont State University, Arts and Communication and Education Psychology and Social Science.
So thank you for the opportunity for us to come and speak with you today. We're really excited to share some information about the work that we've been doing in the VSC at CCV and at VTSU to support aspiring teachers.
Yeah, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge Sarah's testimony. And I'm going to have the pleasure of reading her name out at graduation on Sunday at Johnson. So I'm looking forward to that.
Thanks. So we did submit some written testimony for you to review, but we wanted to start just by acknowledging the history that the VSC has for training teachers. So the Vermont State Colleges system has nearly 200 years of history supporting Vermont's teachers. The legacy Vermont State University institutions, Johnson State College, Linden State College, Castleton University, and the Randolph campus at Vermont Technical College all began as normal schools, teaching, educating teachers in some way, shape, or form. And CCV, as we heard from Sarah's testimony, has always been or served for many decades as a really accessible entry point for people to begin their careers on a pathway towards teacher education. Today in the VSC, we collaborate across our institutions to support students towards careers in elementary education, early childhood education, secondary education, and special education. And together, we really strive to serve students at all different points in their lives and all different stages of their careers.
We are here together to demonstrate that this is a system approach, and we are definitely moving in that direction between the two institutions. So Vermont State College system exists for the benefit of Vermont. We provide affordable, high-quality, student-centered, accessible education, fully integrating professional, liberal, and career study consistent with student aspirations and regional and state needs. We're unique in the nation as a system. We're only two institutions. We serve an entire state. Vermont State University is the only public regional university in the state. Community College of Vermont is the only community college in the state. So no other state is set up like we are, which has some real benefits. So 3 years ago, I'm sure you're all familiar with the creation of Vermont State University, bringing together the three legacy institutions, NVU, Castleton, and Vermont Tech. We serve between 4,500 and 5,000 students across 5 campuses. We have other learning sites, and we have an online unit. Our goal is to provide high-quality education from dual enrollment and early college programs all the way through to bachelor's and master's degrees. We try to make these accessible and affordable for the people of Vermont. I think you heard that as well in Sarah's testimony. We're a hybrid institution by design, meaning our classroom delivery models include a combination of in-person, remote, and fully asynchronous online teaching. And in this way, we strive to make higher education, again, accessible to students through flexible options. And in this past year, we've endeavored to make this more affordable through the Freedom and Unity Scholarship with assistance from VSAC. So in terms of educating the teacher workforce of Vermont, we offer a variety of bachelor's degrees in education, including elementary and secondary education, both with dual licensure and special education. Again, as Sarah had described, as well as art, music, early childhood, physical ed, and health education. We also offer post-baccalaureate degrees for folks who have a bachelor's degree but don't have a teaching license and want to get one. We also have master's degrees with a variety of specializations, not the least of which is ed leadership, which leads to a principal endorsement. All of our programs in education are ROPA accredited.
So at the Community College of Vermont, so I'm sure, as you may know, CCV is Vermont's second largest institution of higher education. We serve around 10,000 students each year at CCV. Students at CCV are really diverse people who live complex lives. The average age of a CCV student is 26 years old, and 90% of our students attend CCV part-time. So they're really busy, complex lives that they're dealing with. 74% of our students are working full or part-time outside of their coursework at CCV. And then in fall of 2025, 52% of our students were first-generation college students, so first in their families to attend college, and 53% received Pell Grants to support their education at CCV. So recognizing that rich diversity we have at the college, we really strive to support our students through multiple means. So whether they be secondary education students just beginning their careers, or folks who come to us after decades of experience in the field, they have options for how they pursue their coursework at CCV. So they can pursue in-person learning at our 12 academic centers around the state, online learning in a variety of modalities and options. We offer them rich academic supports, career development services, and student support services in lots of different ways at CCV. We also have affordable tuition. So we have the lowest tuition in the state. And with our grants and scholarships, particularly the 802 Opportunity Grant, which has been a game changer for CCV students, most students or many students can attend CCV at low or no cost to them. If we think about how we support educators or aspiring educators at CCV, as we've talked about previously already today, we have had a long history of serving as that entry point for people interested in careers in K-12 education. But really recently, the workforce shortage that we're experiencing in the state of Vermont with teachers has inspired us to take a closer look at our curriculum. So this work started a couple of years ago in collaboration with Vermont State University. We started to take a look at the courses and education that we're offering. In fall 2024, we rolled out a series of foundational education courses that are shared between CCV and Vermont State University so that students can begin at CCV and take those foundational 3 education courses, and it sets them up very well for transfer to VTSU. Following that foundational work with the courses, we shifted to looking at our academic programs. And we're very excited to say that in the fall of 2026, we're going to have 2 new academic programs at CCV. So this coming fall, we will be offering a paraeducator certificate program, which is a 30 credit certificate that is aligned with the state's standards for paraprofessionals. And that certificate program will stack seamlessly into an associate degree, liberal studies with specialization in education. It's a bit of a mouthful, but that associate degree is a 60 credit associate degree that is designed with the first 2 years that students will need to then transfer seamlessly to Vermont State University or to another four-year institution if that's their goal. So these programs that we've developed, we really worked hard to partner with our colleagues at Vermont State University, other institutions of higher education in the state, colleagues at the Agency of Education, teachers at the Career and Technical Education Centers, and then some of our administrators at school districts and supervisory unions across the state to get input to help inform those new programs. So with these new programs at CCV, at the Vermont State Colleges system, we now have a stackable series of workforce aligned credentials that starts at the secondary education level, builds to the certificate and degree program at the Community College of Vermont, and then sets students on the way to the bachelor's programs and the post-bachelor's programs at VTSU to support aspiring educators.
All right, so also beginning at fall 26, the system is launching an online bachelor's degree in elementary education and dual licensure in special ed. So for the record, it's elementary education K-6 and special ed is K-8. For secondary programs, licensure is 7 to 12, and then special ed is grade 7 to age 21. So just so everyone's aware of the span of what we're talking about. So we are launching this online bachelor's program in elementary ed with dual licensure in special ed in partnership with the Agency of Education, the Vermont Department of Labor, and with financial assistance from the McClure Foundation. This new elementary education teacher apprenticeship pathway has been in development for the past 18 months or so. It's based on a learn while you earn model where people who are currently working in schools can take courses and get credentialed and get their license. These students are going to be part of AOE and DOL's registered teacher apprenticeship program, which is has its own set of regulations that the state has applied for. And so CCV and VTSU are providing the coursework towards the degrees there. One of the primary drivers of this job embedded education pathway is to meet the needs of the state's teacher workforce over the next decade. And again, in a way that's accessible in terms of how we offer the model. It's going to be through Vermont State University online. Students will be paying online tuition rates, which are at a reduced rate even from the in-state tuition rate for our campus-based students. The entire program will start at, hopefully people will start at CCV, that's the idea. Will then come into VTSU through the pathway. Again, we're trying to not interrupt people's workday. We want people we understand they have lives. Our typical on-campus traditional student age at VTSU is about 23. That's the average age. Our online average age is about 29. So there is, we're trying to speak to that as well. All courses with practicum components, including the student teaching semester, will take place in the student's current place of employment. No one has to take a break from their job. No one has to go to a different school building. Everything happens in-house. It's also available to students. The online program will be available to students who are not working in schools. If they just want to come in and take the online program, that's fine. They just won't be included in the apprenticeship pathway portion of the model. So an ongoing consideration of meeting the needs of our teacher workforce in the state is students' access to capital. I think Sarah communicated that very eloquently. So if you're a traditional on-campus student and you have a practicum course or you're doing your student teaching is full-time for 13 weeks, and these are all based on AOE's regulations for licensure. That often means that you can't work during the day because you're in a school building during the day. That's your semester. You're not taking any other classes. That's your focus. This is a challenge for students, especially to students who are older, who come from economically disadvantaged households. They may have families of their own or other life circumstances. So I always think of someone who's not a traditional 20-year-old who came right out of high school, right, who was in this kind of position. We've innovated in ways in the past to provide students to some financial assistance to cover that. A couple of years ago, we did this with the help from the McClure Foundation again. It was a one-time set of funds. We were able to get approximately 15 students across the finish line who otherwise would not have been able to, and not with a lot of money. It really was not a very large amount of money. Unfortunately, that was a one-time thing. We were able within the institution the following year internally to find some ways to access unspent funds for student activities and student work to help another cohort of students through that process. But otherwise, these have really been sort of one-off approaches. We don't have anything institutional at the moment to help students with this part of it. We're trying to address these challenges through a variety of approaches: the paraeducator certificate, the liberal studies associate of arts with specialization in education degree, the 2+2 pathways, this elementary education teacher apprenticeship pathway. We acknowledge at the same time these are just part of a multifaceted approach undertaken by various partners between the VSCS, state agencies, and departments and other external donors. We'd like to conclude this testimony by once again expressing our appreciation to the state of Vermont for its ongoing support of the system, especially for the bridge funding for VTSU. I take any opportunity I can to thank everybody for that. That has been absolutely vital for us during unification and development of the institution over the past 3 years.
Yeah, so again, thank you very much for the opportunity. We really look forward to deepening our partnership within the system and continuing to collaborate with our partners in the state to continue to meet the needs of all Vermonters. Thank you.
Thank you. The new all online bachelor's degree,
Yes.
is that meant for non-traditional students? I think you said yes. Even though I assume it's a 4-year sort of it's the same thing, but it's just all online.
It's not the same exact thing. So what we've
I mean, think about requirements.
Yes, requirements. Yes, the requirements are all the same. So it's the same course rotation. We're using the same high quality education program we use in the traditional campus-based programs.
Is it, well, then you talked about how it's great for non-traditional students, but that means that much of it is asynchronous, I imagine.
It will all be asynchronous. And our online unit operates in 7-week semesters. So the fall semester you can take 2 courses, one in the first 7 weeks, one in the second 7 weeks. You call them 7A, 7B. So fall, spring. So that also allows folks I mean, you don't have to take 2 classes at once over 15 weeks. You can focus on one course for a shorter period of time. If you're energetic and you want to get through it quicker, of course, you can take as many courses as you would like that are offered on the schedule at the time.
So the setup is that you do one course at a time.
That's yes, it's set up to help people do it one course at a time, but of course you're allowed to take more if you want to take that on.
And the apprenticeship program works hand in hand with that, or the apprenticeship program is wholly separate?
It's the same model. This is where I think the communication on this sometimes gets a little confusing. So the AOE and the DOL have this apprenticeship program where they are vetting folks who are working in school districts across the state to be part of the program, to do the actual coursework. The system is offering the courses to help them get there. We're doing that in a way that also is available to folks who are not in the apprenticeship program. So you can just show up as a matriculated student. Let's say you want to go to Vermont State or the CCB, and you can start in this program. You can do this whole program start to finish without ever interacting with the AOE or DOL and the apprenticeship side of things, right? There are a number of regulations on the apprenticeship side regarding recommendations from the school district, the amount of hours, in the classroom, and so on and so forth, that we don't have as part of the degree component. So I hope that makes sense.
It does, yeah, thank you. That's the clear it up. And the sort of all online program, and that still includes a student teacher 13-week.
Yes, so we have 4 practicums, 2 60-hour practicums, and 2 240-hour practicums. And then we have a 13-week student teaching semester. All of that is expected, even though the student teaching is online, they're in the classroom. Like none of the practicums are being done online, right? All of the actual practicum work is physically in the classroom, in the building they're already employed in.
So some of us will need the difference between a practicum and student teaching.
Yeah, practicum is usually a part of a course. It is the field experience part of it. Think of it that way. So you have the classroom component, the field experience component. Student teaching is the full 13-week in the classroom, and you are the sole teacher for X number of weeks during those 13 weeks.
Questions?
Do you have a sense of when the teacher forgivable loan program was funded and functioning, how students were getting connected with that? Did that tend to happen through your offices, through VSAT? Like were students being approached about it? Were they asking for it? What that looks like? And I know it didn't run for very long, so it's bad practice to just throw new ideas and money out there and then let it die on the vine. But
But if there were an extra $12 million.
if we could do
kicking
something
around,
in a sustainable way, where, how students were connecting with that support for becoming a teacher.
I can speak to what I know from the CCB side. So when I last checked, we had 1 CCB student who was the recipient of that award, where CCB was their designated institution. And they were actually connected. They were an early childhood education student, and they were connected through the Vermont Association for the Education of Young Children and their academic advisor. So our partners at Vermont AEYC have done a really great job of sharing with the field for early childhood education information about that program and connecting our students, even the students at CCB who may not have realized they were eligible for that program, to that opportunity. And I'm not sure what's happening at BCSU.
In our early childhood program, similarly with Vermont AEYC, and then in terms of the elementary and secondary, we had a handful of students who had taken advantage of it. It was both advertised through our admissions office, financial aid office. Also, the faculty were very, very excited about telling students about this. A couple of students signed up for it and then it went away. And then that kind of, has ripple effects. But yeah, again, this, anything that can be done to help students access capital in that way is going to make an enormous difference.
Great. Thank you very much for your
Thank
time
you.
and your information. We almost need a flow chart of all the different pathways one can take to becoming a teacher. Yeah, right. Anyway, I think what is really great is the integration. First of all, I assume you are a fan of the integration of the state university into one entity.
I was hired the week it became the university, so my affiliation is to the university, not to any legacy.
And anyway, and then the sort of, creating pathways between the two is really encouraging. Yeah. So thank you both.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you all.
So committee, we attempted to, but we're unable to move the 3:00 testimony, so that's still going to be at 3. I've kind of updated the list of where things are right now. So the miscellaneous education bill remains in the Senate. Period. The PCB bill remains in Senate Finance, so I'm not sure what we're gonna do with that. Absenteeism will vote out this week. Rob, just so you know that. And unless anybody has, we went through the side by side. Anybody has any concerns, let me know. But my intention would be to concur.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The absenteeism still, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Because they made changes, so we are gonna vote to concur.
Correct.
The Senate is not
That's
concurring.
right. So I'm just saying, if
right?
anybody
Because
has
they
an
just made
issue
changes. Okay.
concurring,
We're gonna
let
try
me
to vote
know.
that on Friday.
Maybe then we'll do the CTE bill on Friday as well. 9:55, in case you were unaware, was turned over to Senate Finance.
Yeah.
Today, yeah. So in other words, they voted, somebody moved to have it be committed to Senate Finance. So Senate Finance will, and it was with some changes that have been made. We're gonna walk through. Okay, so today they voted that.
No.
They voted to have it committed to Senate Finance.
Yeah.
And so they're dealing with that now. And then NEK pre-K, I assume is gonna be on the floor. What do you got for an update on
So
that?
the update was I was supposed to go to a probes this afternoon. They rescheduled that for 10:30 tomorrow morning. So if it goes out of a probes Wednesday, then it would be on notice Thursday to be on the floor Friday.
Yeah, so that'd be right.
At this point, it's been a long
If they
time.
voted out tomorrow, it could be on,
This will be, it's tomorrow morning they're voting.
yeah, so that will be on notice. So it'll be
So
on the
then
floor Thursday,
It
Friday.
could be on notice Wednesday.
Yeah.
Afternoon, because they'll vote it before the floor,
I
right?
think that's the intention.
So
Probably put it
either
on the floor
Thursday
too.
or Friday.
So that is the status of everything at this particular moment. Great.